Hey guys, Xewleer, the Mercenary King, here with my rankings video for GB8. Source Fires Collection 017. So, I know this is probably going to be one of those things where I have to start fighting with people in the comments, but this is kind of how I view it in there. The 3 piles, for sure. Good, very good, excellent cards. Average cards that do exactly what it needs to do, but nothing exceptional. And I'll justify each of these decisions, just so you know. And then bad cards. Cards that probably will not be played, and they'll have very good reasons why. Most of it involves deck manipulation, as well as the speed to which you get GB8, as well as their competition. This kind of has a little bit of overlap, because this, and this, but I decided ultimately that there would be other choices. But we'll talk about it. So first off, in the excellent, perfect, just what they needed pile, is the Grand Blue, Dimensional Police, Mega Colony. And by the way, this brings another level to what these clans had, is what I should say. Like, this is exceptional for these clans. This does something that can create a lot of power out of it. Now, I'm not going to say that, like, so Narukami, Nubatama, Genesis, Royals, and Gold Paladins. So, the reason why this is because of the crit, as well as the combos you can pull off. And the same thing with this one, because even though people might say, oh, it's just another 2 attacks, it is more than that if you play your cards right. Especially if you also run Pelennor. I'm almost joking about that. Then the Genesis one, it would, if it only got the plus 10k in a crit, or if it gave less power, or if it didn't have the synergy it had with certain cards, it would not be on this list. It works with every Genesis deck. There are a lot of Genesis cards that gain powers and abilities based on being soul blasted, like the Witches, or things being soul blasted, like gain power, like Jormungandr, I think. You know, there's a lot of ways to get power in this deck, and this just gives a lot of it. Instead of plus 2k, it's plus 3k. The plus 10k in a crit is icing on the cake, but it's excellent icing on the cake. Nubatama, for the simple reason that it can make perfect shielding impossible. Mega Colony, for the simple reason that of the power it gives out, it is a finisher that Mega Colony has never had before. No finishers in the game before this guy. And the reason why also is because he halts auto abilities that would be otherwise defensive. If he didn't have that skill, he'd be in here. Then the Narukami one, if he would just give out plus 2k to all your units, I wouldn't put him in this high. But he binds, like, even if he had retire and then plus 2k for every open circle on your opponent's field or something like that, he would be in this pile. But because it binds the drop zone and puts everything into and then gives plus 2k for every card in the bind zone, all bind zones, that's why he's in this pile right here. I don't think this needs an explanation or justification, and neither does Die King. It's too easy to hit 80k with a full field. Laurel is going to be in play. The goal is to get Laurel to hit. He's going to be there, especially since he's basically a game-ending condition. Now, let's talk about these real quick. I don't think I need to explain these more. Like, I shouldn't. I need to explain why these aren't in here, especially this guy, and Beyond Order. And I got reasons for it. First thing is Kagero, Spike Brothers, Nova Grapplers, Bermuda Triangle, Link Joker, Neo Nectar, and Neo Nectar kind of like is in here because reasons. Like it's in the gray zone. Murakumo, Pale Moon, Beyond Order, Gear Chronicle, Shadow Paladins, and Angel Feathers. So the Kagero one is pretty simple. There might not be 3 rearguards to retire. If we look at the skill exactly as it says, all your rearguards get plus 10. Retire all your rearguards and all your opponent's rearguards, and all your rearguards get plus 10k. If 3 or more are retired, plus 10k, and a crit to this guy. So basically he's good on the rear guards, and if you anytime you wipe the field for basically free is a good thing. That's why he's here and not here. If he just gave out power to the rear guards, I'd be like, I might as well run a Restander. I might as well run Xewleer or something and run him over here. But he wipes the field and gives plus 10k, and if you kill 3 or more, plus 10k and a crit. If he was guaranteed the plus 10k and a crit, he'd be over here. Simple reason is, if I can be at 4 damage and look at your rear guards and decide I'll rather take the Vanguard and then live through it, that kind of kills your ability to end games, especially since it's always easier to guard a rear guard because of the lack of drive checks. Hellheart 8. The reason why he's in here is because he needs a deck built around him to work. He's an excellent card, and if he didn't require the deck built around him to work, which is a lot of draw triggers, if you check out Living Proof, he's a YouTuber, you'll see what I mean. He describes the deck in detail, and it's fantastic. The Link Joker one, the reason why it's here and instead of in here is because it's open rearguard. With this, I am encouraged to play as many rearguards as possible all the time, especially if I know it's coming. And there's also, this doesn't really a speed problem, and neither is this. The Charge Stride, as all the strides flip over something except for 1 or 2 of the first ones that you might want to play. There's no problem hitting GB8 with him. Same here, most of the strides for Kagero flip over copies, and Wilder, I talked about him in the previous video, but basically, you're not going to have a problem hitting GB8. With this one, it's a little bit slower, because you have to basically run 2 of your Death Star Chaos Breakers, or 2 of your, you have to choose between this card and a second time you Break Crunch them, and create an Omega Lock. So that's what you're doing. That's what you're choosing against. Now keep in mind, that makes it a good card and lies on this side, because if you're using Chaos Breaker right and you're just retiring everything, or you just come out of an Excelix turn, you're actually going to do pretty good. But if your opponent is smart and hasn't been taking a lot of damage, if your opponent's just in a position where they don't give a shit, you're going to have a bad time, which is why he's in the middle. The Nova Grappler one. The reason why I have it in there is because it doesn't do anything else than allow units to restand multiple times, which can bring a lot of abilities and a lot of power and stuff like that. But that's not really... They needed something more, and so that's why he's here. And that more would involve retire, hand draw, or unflipping damage. Then we have Neo Nectar. The reason why she's in here is that she's got too many counters. And there are quite a few things that can sort of mess with how those go back into the deck. And if it's in hand, it's stuck there. There's just a bunch of things that can go wrong. Keep in mind, it's solidly in here, but kind of in this side. Also, there are other rearguards that you might want to play that could kill the opponent better and faster, and that's the Asha Strides. As well as some of the new stuff that came out, like Inverno. Then we have Priscilla. The reason why she's in there is that because she doesn't really do anything except be an excellent Bermuda card. There's some cards that you can play with Olivia and a few other things that can sort of build a bigger field than you could possibly imagine. But the thing is that she doesn't bring anything new to the table that you weren't already doing with Olivia, or weren't messing around with Loris and a few other Harmony cards. Sure, it sets up Harmony. Sure, it sets up a bunch of abilities, but it doesn't do anything with them, is what I'm trying to say. It's 2 basic attacks with a Vanguard attack and 2 powerful attacks. Maybe more if you play the right cards, but if your opponent has been locking you down, or has been messing with your field, or has doing anything that generally counters Bermuda, she is not as powerful as she should be. This guy's weakness is pretty glaringly obvious, but I'll talk about it. And that's the simple fact that his rearguards, his grade 3s that you summon, put it back on him, will be just 10k 2 passes. Or less if you've got a trigger. It'll be 10k no pass. That's how bad it will be. So, and if you run a 10k Vanguard, So basically, way I'd play him is if I try to get power. Now, I don't know whether power comes with you when you move a card. I think it does with the Pelennor rules, but I'm not gonna say for certain, which would help. But still, head around anything that kills a rearguard. Anything that removes a rearguard from play, anything that screws around you with your abilities, if you don't have the cards, if you're just discarding your hand each time for all the skills, if you don't have 3 cards by the end of it, there's just too many things that can go wrong with this guy. And that's it. That's all I can really say about it. You know, it's a lot of moving pieces, and if it works beautiful. But it's like an over-designed clock. It'll grind. Draw Kimberly. So, Draw Kimberly, the reason why she's in there is that she gives herself plus 10k for each Abyss Dragon, which is like, okay. Which isn't like this. Like, the reason why this guy's in here and she's not is because he gives that power for every critical back to the rear guards, which is, by the way, 60k. Because you can hit 80k real easy if you got a full field and you got at least one thing that gives you power, like a die jet. Like, it's not hard at all to hit it. But for her, sure, she summons up 5 cards from Soul and they get plus 5k each, and they're Abyss Dragons. And then she gets plus 50k. Why, though? There's no point in giving herself plus 50k. It's per for nothing, sure, but why, though? Also, the skills, like, she doesn't give any rear guards any skills but other than plus 5k. This late in the game, there needs to be skills that punish the opponent. Fairchild gives out plus 10k in a crit, and Soul Blast 2, it becomes immune to Denial, Griffin, and Hetero Round. Sure, it can't hit any triggers, but that's still going to be a stupid high number. Like, there's all kinds of things that you could be doing other than this. Or Harry, send it all in, retire 2 of their units, or put 2 of their units into the Soul, summon out 3 more, which, by the way, turns into a full field because it's fucking Pale Moon. Like, there's all kinds of things that you could be doing that aren't her, but she's free. So she's in the middle. Beyond Order. Now, this is probably the most controversial choice next to the Shadow Paladin one. I think the Angel Feather one's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll talk about it. Act Vanguard, bind top 8. First off, the top 8 is what kills it. Also, there are plenty of combos, and it doesn't restand any of the rear guards. Combos that can stop it. Like if someone just runs a Brilliant Blister, like you'll say you're playing Mega Colony. They throw down a Brilliant Blister. This doesn't restand, and you've bound to 8 for nothing. Also, it's minus 13 cards from deck. Many times I've seen Gear Chronicle players, by the time they hit GB8 after a round of, next stages and other abilities, that sort of thing, and all the combos that they do, they're kind of low on it. Now, you might say, well, I can time leap and I can send cards back into it with Uluru. Sure, but you're not going to have many cards left, and even if it is, it's just one more Vanguard attack unless you deliberately gave yourself weak attacks early on. Like, that's why this is a complicated card and may not always be the best card there. So let's just calculate out real quick. Just generic. No card gain or loss from the thing. You're just attacking. Drawing and attacking as normal. Like, so 49... 48 to draw for turn. You ride an attack, so that's 47. Take a damage, 46. Sorry, no, I'm wrong on that. So it starts off at 44 because you draw 5. 43, 42 for the attack because he went second. 43 for the draw ride. 42 for the attack. Take a damage, so you're at 41. Then you're at 40 for the draw. Attack, 39. Hold on, I'm gonna get through this, Then you take 2 damage, 37, generally. Draw for 36. Attack, because you strode, let's say, 33. And this is just normal turn, like you're just flipping things out and all that jazz. So at 33, you take 2 more damage, so you're at 31. Then you take away 30, 25... 25 for the first next stage turn, because that's what a lot of players do. And the second player is Gear Groovy, so it's 30, 29 for the next one, then it's minus 24. Then you can do this for 23, so you're down to 10 cards in deck. Now that's before anything else. And you might say, well, 10 cards in deck sounds pretty good. Does it now? Have you been drawing? Have you been using Urwatar? Have you been pulling shit out? Sure, you might say, well, I'm putting things away with Tickaway Dragon and Uluru. Are you, though? It could go into the drop zone. It could go into this. There's too many things that could go wrong. It could be killed by the fucking Kagero, motherfucker. That's what you're playing against. Even though this card looks amazing on paper, it is like this. No, wait. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. What did I use? Oh, yeah. It's like the Murakumo guy. Sounds great. Too many things can go wrong. It can be countered by the most unlikely of clans. It can have people just like, okay, you know, blah, 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 blah. Only Vanguard? Perf. I've been saving it for this exact reason. Oh, but they'll use up all their stuff for. Really? Sometimes I'll just take, when I'm at 4 damage, the second Chrono Jet attack. Sure, you might get a crit. You might not. That's me. That's my luck, you know? Too many things can go wrong, but it's a good card. It is solidly in here. It is a playable card, but it'll fuck you if you do it wrong. That's how it goes. So, Igran Vert is similar, but it's in a different sort of way. Cannon-Blast 1, 5, blah, 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 search it out, plus 15 at each one. The reason why he's in this pile is, and he's, by the way, he's like in here, like in the middle between these two, is because he can be countered by anything that kills things, or by someone who just doesn't give a shit about their field, pulls up their field, by anyone who just has the hand for it. Like, 30k columns, 30k plus 30k to a column, it sounds great, but then you realize it's, like, you could hit 46k with just grade ones. Sure. But it's, you're not putting those cards back unless you set up for Luard early, and that could mess with Ritual. It could also mess with the Luard strides. It could also mess with this and that. You know, it's what if you have to call triggers? Like, there's too many things that could go wrong with it to make it dependable. What if it's, you know, a hetero round and they hit something, send it back, you know, or if it's Darkface, tap the front row, you know, because I saved Soul for it because I'm facing fucking Shadow Paladins. But fuck Shadow Paladins. Fuck Luard. He's a cancer on the meta. You know, he can be countered, and that's why it's in here. And it can be countered easily. Like this, you might say, oh, but this can be countered easily too. But yeah, but it still gets the crit. It still gives all these power. It still gives all these abilities. Like, just for summoning him out, I can see a way to draw 3 cards for Soul Blast 3 as well, because you can build up Soul pretty easily in some Royal builds. As well as give out all kinds of power to my rear guards, like plus 5k power to my rear guards. You know, there's all kinds of things you can be doing with this. Or you could be retiring shit, or you could be putting in things that have devastating on hits that summon out more, or you could be setting up for a Brave Ultimal Suleiman turn. Like, there's so many things you can do with it, and it's hard to counter it compared to him. And the reason is because Attacks of Vanguard, main phase. If you do it main phase, that gives them time to prepare for you. If you do it during this phase, that's already 2 attacks. 1, 2. Vanguard. 1, 2 again. Or more. And by the way, by this time, like with Royal Paladins, like compared to Shadow Paladins, like Shadow Paladins kill their own rearguard so much there's no point in like hetero rounding them or something like that. You have to wait for when they actually commit board. So it's you know, I can see people already saying, well, you're not missing this, you're not missing this. These are really just the same cards. Yeah, but this has a crit. This doesn't. This has cards that combo a lot off of it. This has cards that get you a little bit of advantage in the same way this does, but then kills them for it. This has continuous board presence. This doesn't, and it does it during the main phase. I think that should explain it. I'm hoping it does. The reason why she's in here is simply put, this late in the game, Angel Feathers don't really have a deck to manage her. Even if they don't run draws, even if they are careful with it, even if they run that sand trigger, every time that rescue, that is overall like a total of -2 cards from deck. Like when I counted out for Beyond Order and came out to like having 10 cards or so before any other abilities happen and taking 5 damage, you know, this doubled. So it's -10 cards. So you're down to 5 cards by the time you start running these sort of things. And I can't even calculate for Angel Feathers because there's so many dang abilities that can go off. Every time you stride Gavriel, you -2 the deck with an LTL and a thing. If you do the Gavriel stride, that's -3 the deck, assuming you use Gavriel's skill, which I've never seen a Gavriel player just not do. Except for like once or twice because they have everything they need already, which means that they use it already to fix their field. or hand or whatever, like there's, like this card is good. It is solidly in here and like kind of in this range, but I bet they won't have the field for it. I'm sorry, the deck for it. So let's talk about these guys, the bad cards. So let's talk about the obvious ones first. Like the Dark Irregulars one is pretty simple. Pretty simple. You won't get there. You won't get that far. Like I play Dark Irregulars pretty regularly. I play Sullivan, I play all kinds of other stuff. I heard something weird. I play all kinds of other stuff, and I can see how you can do it. But the thing is that until Braidamouth, and maybe something in the set 11, I don't know. There aren't a lot of cards that flip over 2. The only one is Gilderay. Flip over Gilderay, you get skills. But Gilderay should be ending the game for you. If you get to GB8, which, by the way, like assuming you G-Guard twice, which is about average for most Dark Irregular players I've seen, it takes first stride where you just do one thing. Like let's say it's an enigmatic assassin deck. They stride Demagogue. They use Demagogue skill. Somehow the guy survives it. You're at GB1. Sure, you have a big soul because you're playing Sullivan, and you're playing Blade Wings and all that jazz. But then now what? You have to run Tybalt so that you refresh your deck. You're at 2. You G-Guard, you got GB3. Maybe you G-Guard again, GB4. Then you run a Gilderay, GB6. You have to run Tybalt again, GB7. So that's Demagogue, Tybalt, 2 G-Guards. So 1, 2. Gilderay, 4, 5. Sorry, what? Hold on. Demagogue, Tybalt, Gilderay, Tybalt, and then you're at this guy again. So 5. It takes 5 your 5th stride might be him if you're lucky enough to be able to run Gilderay during that phrase, and that you had 2 G-Guards. Besides that, sure, plus 13k and a crit to every card in the front row sounds great, but I hope you have enigmatic assassins in your deck. Otherwise, it's just going to be a 22k attacker before triggers. Like it's not impressive. It doesn't do what it needs to do for Dark Irregulars. It should have done something impressive. If it recycled the deck back with the drop zone, it would have been good enough to play. It would have been great. It would have been playable. But, by the way, my example shown, that assumed you didn't run a Shaharot turn in there, and Shaharot is bread and butter to Dark Irregulars. So, that's why he's in here. Like, people might say, oh, well, I could play him, we'll hit it, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Sure, and you might last that long with Sullivan, but your deck's gonna be shit, your hand's gonna be shit, and you gotta I hope you have enough resources to be able to handle it. And by the way, running 8 stand 4 draw 4 heal isn't gonna do it. You have to run crits in that just so you can hit your opponent. You run multiple draws, nonsense. What's the point of having less threat in your Vanguard early game so that your Demagogue term sputters when you can't hit more than 41k each enigmatic assassin, or they're just not in there? There's too many things to go wrong to not have a crits having your back. What are you going to do with extra draws? Well, they're 15k shields. Oh, 15k shields just like this exactly needs to guard it? Well, yeah. This card just does nothing. It does nothing but give out power and crits. Certain cards might be able to do it. Certain decks might. But I've yet to see it. And even when people are talking to me trying to say, yeah, I can hit GB8, they don't hit it. And that's the last, that's it. You can argue it all you want, but when I see you play it and you don't hit it multiple times, good job. You're a real pro player. You do better than me in tournament, but your theory craft for decks you don't know how to play are shit. And you know who I'm talking about. The person I'm talking about knows who they are, and they're welcome to talk to me about how to actually play the damn deck, which they won't. Ah, well, set 11, it's going to look a lot better. The Bladewing Sullivan deck. But also Glenza and Vampire with Sharharat, the new one, is also going to be pretty good. Let's talk about Vulcan Tyranno. So, he's in here for the simple reason that he requires an assload of resources from your rear guards that you might have, and it also assumes you couldn't kill the opponent after 2 Gluttony Dogma turns. Alright, so let's talk about Stride Order for my good friend Tachi's. I've been playing it ever since I got my hands on a Dark Rex, Death Rex build, which is one of my first videos on this channel. So the reason why this card's in here is similar to Dark Irregulars. Sure, you're going to have 13 cards in Soul, but what are you going to get there? Probably not. So here's how the Stride goes. Let's say that you go first and you G-Guard their Stride. Or you G-Guard in something. You go into Gluttony Dogma. You Gluttony Dogma. You couldn't kill him somehow. You go into Gluttony Dogma again. You couldn't kill him somehow. You see where I'm going with this. You probably wasted all your resources getting to that point. And you're only at GB5. And you have the resources to restand multiple Tank Mammoths or do any other skill? Nonsense! You're not going to have that at all. You're going to be stuck with this guy. Or you're going to be using other skills, like, sure, but why? I could bend, Xewleer, I can run into Dynast. Okay. Dynast, who costs resources. And, you can unflip damage, sure, for some of those skills. But are you going to be able to bring him back to life all the time? Because you have to counterblast for that, too. And besides that, there's soul charging. Resource management is key to play this card, but I don't think people will get there. And that's a simple long and short of it. There's not much else to say about it. I can't rant at people about this because people know it's kind of shit. People know this card's kind of shit, but they don't know it yet. Alright, let's talk about this card. Cesara Vera. I said good things about it in the previous video, and I stand by them, but the problem is that he's so late in the game, and there's so many other better units to run in Great Nature that he probably will not see play. And that's why he's there. His skill's pretty nice. Retire this unit, but does he let you draw? Oh no, he doesn't let you draw. Choose 5 rear guards to get plus 10k and end of turn retire this unit. You might as well just run Big Belly again. You also will have a hard time getting down to a hand of 1 or less. Now keep in mind, you could play him just for those off chances you fight someone and you're able to survive with just 2 cards in hand. Oh, well, I hope so. Because, that's the only time he'd really be good. So let's talk about this one. This one's probably one of the more controversial ones for it, along with the next one. But simply put, Aqua Force gets sort of shit on by a lot of people. And this also assumes, like with the Tyranno Volcano, whatever his name is, Vulcan Tyranno, that you couldn't kill him in 2 Lambros turns. A Thavas, 2 Lambroses, and Wailing Thavas, and you couldn't kill them? Really? Really? You think this guy's going to save you after all that? He might. He might. But you have Lambros. You have... and honestly, he's pretty good for things that if you can't hit it. Because you basically need 1 rear guard, a full front row, and himself, and he can do it. You don't need any special abilities. Like you can go rear guard, Vanguard. Rear guard is what I'm referring to. But still, it's and that's just basic. It's like, like this is it. You couldn't kill them with the Lambros. Like, what was wrong that you couldn't kill them with the Lambros? What alternative plays did you get to you couldn't kill them with a Lambros or a Thalos? That's what this card is. It's a failure to kill them with the staples of your deck that have been with you for a while now. And I'm not even counting Wailing Thavas. Like, Wailing Thavas is just icing on the cake. To be able to just go like Maelstrom and then the grade 1 and then, G-Guards only, bitch. Like, why couldn't you kill him then? Why couldn't you, it kills me when it happens, Like, really, it's kind of like in here. But to me, it's right here because there's so many other things that you could be playing to kill the opponent. And the fact that, you know, like you might say, well, I could run, what's the name of the damn card? Tidal Assault. Sure, okay, you know, you attack with this, you attack with a Tidal Assault. When this unit attacks plus 5k, you know, replace it with, you go Tidal Assault, top 4, call it over it, call, I don't know, something with Wave, and he gets plus 5k like that one card I described. So she gets like plus 4k only. And then, you know, swing with your Vanguard, all triggers to her, you know, sure. Okay, yeah, it's a thing that can happen. It can happen, you know, and it's not a bad thing that can happen. I don't think it's worth the time. And I think that it's only there for, you know, cards and decks and fields that are kind of shit. So, that's how it goes. Albatross is in the same way, but the simple reason is that I've played this deck, and it is really hard to have enough cards in deck to run a card like this at GB8. The reason why this card's in here is because there isn't a Dreaming Dragon for OTT. There's no reason to run a Legion. Don't run the Legion. It's shit. Like, that's why it's there. Like, there's... Like, I want to love OTT. I like OTT. I like OTT a lot. I like Monica. I like Magus. I like mixing them together and, you know, sort of being in my bunk thinking about them. But, Shrine Maidens. Ah, yeah. What was I thinking about? Yeah. So, they try to like, you might say, Ben, you could have 5 cards in deck left and do it. You know, you could win the game. Why weren't you winning the game with all the Susanoo stuff? What happened to your rear guards? Do you have a field? Like, there's a whole bunch of things that could go on. This card could make Tom great again. This Tom could be a whole bunch of other skills. It gives you cards. But it doesn't refresh the deck. Which is what they need. It's the only thing keeping them from becoming incredibly great. To be able to freely draw and then fix that deck. But they can't. And so when you get the GB8, which is, by the way, like 3 Susanoo strides or something ridiculous like that. It's literally Susanoo. Actually, no. There's different ways you can do it. But basically, it takes about 3 turns and a G-Guard to hit this. So turn 4, you can GB8. So let's talk about it real quick. Each time you do a G-Guard, you basically lose a card to the deck. Besides the draw. Sorry. So, assuming you never draw with Susanoo, you still, every time you G-Guard, put cards in the deck. If you stride with a Susanoo and you let it hit, that's draw. If they use any of the skills on the rearguard slots, which you should because that's the only reason OTT is playable, you'll draw more cards. Like the person who can stride you for free lets you draw cards when you place them at GB. All these different skills. Wakirihime, draw, put the top card back in there, and then you check out the stuff. You know, the Susanoo stride. Cannon Blast 2, draw until you have 5. That takes a toll on the deck. I've profile on Susanoo. I've gone crazy over Susanoo stuff. I know Susanoo, and I know that the cards in deck that will remain will either be slim, so you never draw off of her, or all you're doing is basically making sure you get the triggers you want. That's it. And that was making it right here, but it's still in here because what benefits do you have besides the plus 15k to the front row? You know, with all the other trigger stuff. Are you gonna have triggers in the front row in the top 5? You know, there's a whole bunch of things that could go wrong with this card. It's not like this card, which is still pretty good because it still gets the 3 Vanguard attacks. It's like this card. It could be good. It's like this card. It could be good, but too many things hold it back, and there's too many other things that you could be playing instead that do stuff. The fact is that OTT, and I'll be doing an entire clan check over just about everything in the clan later, talking about it and why it's bad and why it needs to be fixed by Bushiroad, is basically stuff like this. Too late and doesn't fix the root cause, which is deck out. Because if you If you give them too much draw, they'll deck out faster, which makes the draw worthless. If you give them too much draw to compensate for the fact that they've got nothing else going on, because you can't push Silent Tom to 21k, they've made damn sure of that. I don't think there's a way to push Silent Tom above 21k. I'm only able to do that with a 9k booster from Susanoo and the Stride Susanoo Counterblast. Flip them over, plus 2k at GB3 to every rearguard. Like, sure. Let's say you put 3 triggers on top, that's 15k floating and plus 15k to the front row. Alright. Great. Good. So how'd you get that far? What are you going to do if they are able to guard it? What if they header around your front row when they attack? You know, these are questions that are important to ask when determining whether a card like these are good enough to play. This card gets plus 50k. 54k if we're being honest, because a Dijet or anything else is running around. And honestly, yeah, it includes the booster. Attack boost. Attacks Vanguard? No, it doesn't include the booster. Point is, it hits 80k easy. There's no reason for it not to hit 80k. There's even cards you Soul Blast to give it power. So in other words, if you accidentally Soul Blast certain triggers with Die Bazooka, Soul Blast them, plus 3k. Oh, I've got another one, Soul Blast them, plus 3k again. Play a card, Counterblast 1, plus 4k. You can build decks around this guy in the similar vein to Hellheart 8, except his decks are fantastic. And then each rearguard gets plus 60k. That's insane. That's fantastic. But then you look at this. All the way across. All other end. Late in the game. This isn't like this where you flip over where you'll basically get them on the 4th stride. Like, sure, you can do it with this too. But it's different. It's different. Because you're spending all kinds of resources to get that far. And you're spending resources from hand. And this is an Oracle. If you don't have 5 cards in hand when you start your trigger checks, it's wasted. You know, there's just so much difference in this. Just the board state, the deck state, the ability state compared to this. I can't say that there's any rearguards that would really benefit from this too much. Even if you still played Silent Tom because you're a faithful guy like that. You know, it still just wouldn't be enough somehow, some way. It wouldn't work. That's why it's on this file. You know, a lot of people probably won't agree with everything I say in this video. That's fine. You know, I'm sure people would think that this belongs over here, or this belongs over here, and that this belongs over here, or this. Nah, fuck no. But this belongs like over here or something like that. That's fine. You know, that you're welcome to your opinion. This over here. But the thing is that there are flaws in these cards. Like, these are all excellent. There's no real flaws in this card. You might say, well, what if they don't have a field for this? It doesn't matter. They'll still get the drop zone. You know this. Oh, this is free. Whoa, this, you know, all I need is 2 11Ks in the front row, or just 2 anything in the front row, and I can get a finisher that Mega Colony has never had before. In any other clan, it'd be over here. If there were other finishers, it'd be over here, but there's nothing like it, so it's guaranteed play, and that's what matters. All these cards are guaranteed play by their clans. You might say, well, what about this one? Dreaming Dragon allows this card to go off. The Abilities of Regalia allows a card to go off. You might say, well, what if Wiseman doesn't take it? You still play Wiseman? No, Wiseman still shows up every now and then. But even then, it works in Wiseman too. There's all kinds of things that work with it. This guy, just for the fact that he prevents perfect shields so late in the game, is fantastic. If your opponent has somehow survived all the brutal screwing that you're giving them, this is the icing on the cake. This guarantees you the win. For the simple reason is that if they have enough G guard for this one, they won't have it for their rear guards. And by the way, this isn't restricted to his ability, his attack, or anything like that. Every time they put a guard down to even block a 10k attacker on your rear guards, that's minus 2 cards from hand. Let's take a look at this. Has to be open rear guard. So in other words, you have to use Chaos Breaker skill late in the game to take it out, and you can't Omega Lock cards unless you don't mind not using the full effect of his abilities. And by the way, discarding 2 cards from hand late in the game might be deadly for you. It just doesn't do anything else. Sure, it does this, but it can be countered because it's main phase, and he doesn't get a crit like this guy, and he doesn't have skills that can like rapidly go ba 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 ba. You know, like this has much more draw, much more toolbox than this does, even with Luard. The toolbox for Luard. Sorry, I made a mistake here. This is like over here because I realized Morfessa is a thing. No, I'm kidding. Morfessa can be, just puts it right here. Still, like it doesn't change much. Like Morfessa, like this late in the game, do you have Morfessas? Are there still Morfessas in play? You know, could you afford them? With this card, requires so much setup. Assuming you have a rear guard in the field that someone didn't mess with somehow, or like so many of these things could be countered by just Dark Device going. Can't choose it for anything. Oh man, but this is alright. Doesn't do anything special. 10k 2 pass. You know, this just restands them. It restands, makes sure that you have 2 restanding turns, which is good for the cards that you have, but you have to have good field setup. If you don't have good field setup, what do you have? Doesn't get a crit all the time, and plus you should be retiring everything anyway. Requires a deck built around to be truly great. Binds too damn much of your deck, so you might not have enough deck to properly utilize the skills for the second attack. This is a really good set. This is really great cards. A lot of these things will see play. All these cards will probably see play. These cards maybe. I don't know about him. I definitely, you know, I'll do it because he probably won't sell. This guy will see play, but it's a pipe dream. Like, it's a pipe dream. You might as well run Braidamouth. For Pete's sake, like, there's so many cards coming out here indifferent that just don't give a shit about him. He doesn't make a difference. Like, it just doesn't do anything. Plus 10k and a crit is great if you don't deck out. Plus 13k rather than a crit, you know. This guy, why aren't you using anything else? That's it. That's how it goes. Honestly, I don't agree with some of the prices here. I think Daiking is really underpriced for the pre-release. I recommend people buying him out as soon as possible, and buying early and soon, because once it comes out and people like undercutting each other, it'll eventually rise back up. Daikai's Leon was a very cheap card when it came out. It is now a $22 card last time I checked, which was a couple weeks ago. You know, this card, Vanquisher's weirdly expensive. Pick it up. You know, Mega, don't worry about that. Mega Colony players are happy for this guy, but that's it. You know, Gold Paladins. The guy who gets plus 5k every time you summon something isn't as good as a guy who gets you multiple more attacks and card advantage. Same thing with this guy. For some of the stuff with Blaster that's coming out. It's like, just run a guy who gets you a free full field. Just do it. Just get the free full field. Well, not free, Cannon Blast one, but still. Now, like, some of my opinions will be controversial to some, I'm sure. Feel free to argue with me in the comments as to why your favorite card or your waifu or whatever, or your waifu, you know, is better than I say it is or worse than I say it is. Why Daiking should really be over here, which is utter heresy. Emperor, protect us. Trump, please, you know, take us away. Or why will never see play, but it's like, why though? Some of the opinions are going to be shit, but feel free to voice them. No one should be shy of voicing shit opinions. I'm sure some people will love this guy. This guy's great. This guy will see play, but again, GB8. Shirabaku Buster, I don't think flips over anything. Yasui flips over itself. There's no way to really accelerate this guy too well. And besides that, there's so many different things you play. What do you take out of it? Another Dark Carnivore Dragon or something? I don't know. And besides that, actually, yeah, thinking about it. Erganvert. I mean, you could do it with, yeah, it's a turn 4 thing, I guess. Assuming you G-Guard. But if you, oh, by the way, for a lot of these things when I say turn 4, that's assuming you G-Guard. If you can't G-Guard, you know, what are you going to do? I don't really feel threatened by this card. Like, sure, I'm gonna come up against it. It's like, oh god, well, I will blah blah blah. Oh, you know, I'm losing the game, but I'm not too worried, especially when I've got other things here that can do it, and some of the G guards even force you to take care of it. Like it's, you know, there's so many different things about this deck. If people play these cards right, we will see a shift in the meta in the sense of just the decks changing. I'm hoping Hellheart 8 becomes a dark horse as well as Mega Colony again now that we have a finisher. I think that, you know, this guy just sort of sticks where he is. This guy sticks where he is. People will run one of him just in case, you know. It's a lot of things here. I think that she'll see play. But I think a lot of people will be kind of scared to use her. She is somebody that you want to use late in the game to Soul Blast everything out, Dreaming Dragon it back out, get your card advantage back, start the deck again, make them feel it. And this card will certainly see play. Just because of how he runs, as well as how the strides are going with the set 11 stuff, which do flip over other copies of themselves. Alright then. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And Wheel of the Mercenary King. You know, do be smart about your purchases here. And I don't mean in the sense of buying expensive shit that probably will lose price. I mean in the sense of be sure to strike while the iron's hot. I'm actually going to be keeping a lot of my stuff out of the market, except what I need to help make sure that pre-orders are met for certain things. But other than that, I'm just not going to sell. I'm just going to wait a bit. Wait for the pre-order shit to go down, because honestly, there's a lot of like people complain about toxic stuff in like how the selling is, but honestly, to me, nothing's more toxic than a fucking price war pre-release day, just to get a few extra sales for cards, and you can actually bring yourself underneath the price point you met just to get those sales. Be smart, you know, be smart, take advantage of it, or just not, you know, just do what you need to do with it. I know I'll be running one Die King in my build instead of an X-Tiger, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. You know, it's if people play it right, it's going to be a new meta, new era, new interesting things to do. But if people don't, it'll just be more of the same, except now occasionally they just say fuck you and do whatever. There's Aqua Force. There it is. I do hope, like, it's not that I hate these cards. I just don't think they'll ever see play. And that's the thing. Like that's what it comes down to. Will these cards see play? What will cause them to see play? Gear Chronicles will play this card just because it's a fucking dragon. You know, it's because it's there. You know, that sort of thing. You know, now it's lightly played, moderately played. I think by the end of it, Hellheart 8 will be vindicated, as well. Die King, Tarantus, Gold Paladin, and the Genesis one, as well as the Murakomo and Kagura one, despite what people say. I know I kind of praise the Kagura one, but the problem is he doesn't give you like draw, and he isn't guaranteed to crit. He should say something like, if you actually retired units or something like that, make it easier, but I guess it would be too easy. I'm just kind of rambling now. Please like, comment, and subscribe to Imagine Your Goddess. This is Xewleer the Mercenary King. Wish you all a great evening, and look forward to some of my videos in the future. I'm going to be starting some new projects.
Whoa, guys! Did you know that Imagine Your Goddess has its own web store? Check out all the neat merchandise. Ball scrolls, play mats.
Don't forget about the acrylics and the other goodies.
Oh, Helen!
Yeah, I'm here.
Get them in-store at the Stand Up series, or check us out online at our website, shopibuyg.com. We're always adding new stuff.
Imagine your goddess.